Hi, Scripties. Welcome to season 2, episode 7. I'm your host, Imani Nicole.
And I'm Ashana Robinson.
All right, Shani, what is going on in the TV world this week?
Yes, so a sequel to A Different World is in the works. The show will focus on Dwayne and Whitley's daughter attending their alma mater, Hillman University. So are you here for it? Or are you tired of the prequel, sequel, remakes that just seem to keep coming up?
So I didn't watch the original, so I really have no feelings about this. I know it's terrible. I'm actually behind on like a lot of Black staple classics and stuff like that. So I know it. Like I've heard of
Right, you're
it.
familiar, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen the characters, but I'm indifferent about this. I mean, I'm excited because it's definitely more color on our TV screen, so happy
Right.
about that. But other than that, I really have no opinion. How do you feel about it?
Well, I think it could work, but I really just wish they would have put this energy into All American Homecoming, because essentially they're making the same type of show. But I do think this probably will perform better due to like the names behind it. People are very familiar, like you said, even if they haven't seen it, with A Different World. So if you say, A Different World sequel, people are already going to be interested because of how well A Different
Right.
World did. And especially I feel like if like they had cameos from the original cast that came and showed up, that'll definitely drop the numbers up.
Yeah, I do feel like it's hard for shows like that to thrive because, in my opinion, I'm completely confused why All American Homecoming is getting canceled.
Right.
I like it better than the original, which is All American. Like, I don't even watch All American anymore. Like, I think it's
that last.
after Tay Diggs died, cut it.
Yeah, it is.
I haven't even seen the season where Tay dies.
Yeah, I haven't either.
So it's like, let's just
let's
just cut it. I was watching it faithfully. Like, I was so excited. Spencer, Jordan, like Layla.
And then they start dating each other. I think it was just too much intermingling.
Yeah. And remember someone brought that up at American Black Film Festival about how like they basically were all dating each other and they didn't feel like that was real life. And she was like, you'd be surprised. She said something.
Who was
it? The writer did.
Oh, yeah.
She had made a thing saying like it actually does happen more often. You think of like inner friends dating in the Black world.
No, I got more than 5 friends, so I'll branch out. Like, I don't need it. I don't need it.
No, for sure. Like, when you really think about it, like, there's a lot of people in this world. It doesn't make sense to like,
the same have to, people. Yeah,
for sure. But moving on to our recommended watch this week, and actually the best thing we did this week, which is Utopia.
Yes. So the description is a group of young adults who meet online get a hold of a cult underground graphic novel, which not only pins them as a target of a shadowy deep state organization, but also burdens them with the dangerous task of saving the world. This was recommended by Nicole, Instagram Confetti Cosmetics _. IMDb rated it a 6.7 out of 10, and Rotten Tomatoes gave it 50%. We've had a lot of great recommendations, y'all, but this by far was my favorite. Like,
me too.
And the crazy thing is, I did not expect it to be like at all.
Me either. I was pissed when I first read it. I'm like, this is gonna be some cool.
I was like, let me go ahead, because I know Nicole, she's real cool, so I feel like we have similar tastes.
Yeah.
But yeah, we didn't get any notes from her, but that's okay because I felt like I had a lot to say about this. But yeah, it's an amazing show. The show was based on a 2013 British series of the same name, and it was executive produced and written by Gillian Flynn, who was also the author of Gone Girl. And if you guys haven't read that book, it was a movie. It was made into a movie with Ben Affleck and Rosamund. What's her name? Shoot.
I forget. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, she was in Saltburn. That was the most recent thing we watched for her.
She was the mom. Yep.
So the question that they kept saying in this series was, what did you do today to earn your place in this crowded world? And it started off being like a positive question mantra for self-reflection. Kevin Christie, one of the main characters, played by John Cusack, said it to his family at the dinner table. So I was like, oh, that's cute. Like, I'll start using that for myself. I was feeling it. How I can make a difference. But that quickly took a dark turn because he was using that to justify slaughtering millions of people. But with you being a pharmacist, I just want to know your thoughts overall, of course, on the show, but more specifically on the themes about like vaccines and big pharma, etc.
So yeah, that quote, I was using it this past weekend when like people would piss me off. I'd be like, what are you doing?
Please.
I was like, what are you doing to make your place in this crowded world? Like, I was
Oh my
literally asking people that,
gosh.
and they had no clue what I was saying. But I thought it was catchy, and like you said, it was valid. Like, it really got your brain turning. Like, how do you contribute to society? But I think there are so many shows that touch on conspiracy theories and like
Mhm,
biological warfare, which is
mhm,
ultimately what this show was doing. So every day when I'm
mhm,
at work, I see both ends of the stick. Like, there's people who don't miss a vaccine. Like, if it's recommended, they're getting it. Then there's other
mhm.
people that are like, oh no, it made me sick, which a vaccine doesn't make you sick, just to kind of give you guys that clarity. Um, it's just normal symptom. Like people be like, oh, I got the flu shot, then got the flu. That's not the flu.
Right,
What you
yeah.
have, it doesn't give you.
Just the
There are
symptoms of,
some,
yeah.
yeah, like there are some live vaccines, but they kind of have done away with live. Like everything is pretty much like deactivated. It's not live.
Mhm.
Like MMR is probably like the only one that's like that people get, or like chickenpox vaccine is live, and
Oh,
MMR,
yeah.
which is measles,
Mhm,
mumps, rubella, that's live. So like I think with when COVID came out and all the vaccines, like the hesitancy decreased. So I feel like when a lot of
mhm,
that weighing on you, more people who probably didn't usually get vaccines got the vaccine. Really, what I do is just as a pharmacist, all I can do is educate you. Like that's literally just what I'm here to do.
mhm,
So just to kind of talk to you about it, ask you why you're hesitant, and then like kind of answer any questions you have. All I can do is educate you about it and say if you're recommended to get this due to your health conditions or whatever the case may be, because some people don't have a great immune system. So you kind of do want to give your immune system a jump start. You'll even see now, like with everyone being on Ozempic and Trulicity and Wegovy and Manjaro, like there's a lot of lawsuits that are coming out of the works for drugs. And then it's like, look at the opioid crisis. Like here's something with pain. Now people are addicted, losing their kids to.
mhm. And I really like everything you just touched on. The show touched on all of that. Like some people, like it's people that don't normally get vaccines. They saw that all the kids were dying on TV. Vaccines, yeah, you need to get the vaccine. So I just think the show has so many good themes.
They weren't gonna make.
So season one left us with more questions than answers. But
Mm-hmm.
would you guys believe that the show was canceled due to the themes? So critics were stating that this was a potentially dangerous message. So basically, the show dropped during the height of COVID. I'm sorry. So in the show, basically, it was this flu which derived from bats, which is similar to COVID. So this dropped around the same time as COVID. So I think they didn't really want that message to be shown on the TV screens for another season while we're literally going through something that's quite similar to this. And I think
Mm-hmm.
it's really interesting because this actually was filmed in 2019, which would have been prior to the coronavirus. So the fact that it was so similar is very strange to me. But
It's crazy.
yeah, things work out like that sometimes. Did you have a favorite character?
Okay, so I was really disappointed to hear that it was not being renewed. I was really
Mm-hmm.
looking forward to them closing up the numerous loose ends that were in season
Mm-hmm.
one. I
Yes.
didn't really have a favorite character. I think if Sam would have lived long enough, she would have been
Should have been
my.
yours.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because I liked like what she said to her dad in the car, like when she was talking about rallies. She made a
Mm-hmm.
really good point where she was basically like, why like rallying isn't really doing anything. Like you rally after everything's already going on. Like you're protesting and
Right.
rallying, but the children have already died. Like why did it
Mhm.
take all of that and now you want to rally? Like so I don't know.
Right.
I liked the way her thought process was. I liked how she brought everyone together. Um and like, just kind of was the glue for the group in a way.
Mhm.
But what was that? Oh yeah, but I think that they had a really dynamic cast and they had a lot of
Mhm.
different personalities. So I thought that
Mhm.
that was cool too. Who was your favorite?
I don't know if I had a favorite either, but I think
Yeah.
Wilson's paranoia seemed to make him the most logical. Like even when they first left and went to Dunkin' Donuts, and they're like, "You are the least." No, what did he say? I think Ian said something to him like, "You think the government's going to attack you or something?" And he's like, "They always attack people with unconventional thinking." And as soon as they left, like he was attacked not by the government, but
Yeah.
literally. And then, like he said, like he had taught himself how to get out of handcuffs, which came in
Mhm.
handy because he had to do that
Mhm.
several times during the show.
And
So,
waterboarding.
right, yeah, all of that. So I think it made him the most logical, but I hate the fact that he flipped at the end. I guess he flipped.
Yes.
We never really will know if he actually had a plan because there's no season two. I also really liked Dr. Mike Stern. He had his head on straight, but his brief stint in that mental asylum really made it easy for people to gaslight him because every time like he was getting close to crack, his wife was like, "Oh no, baby, you're sounding, I don't know, remember like last time." So
Mhm.
I hated that for him. I think if he hadn't had that, they probably would have made a lot more progress sooner.
Yeah.
I also can empathize with Becky when it comes to like having an illness that people can't see and like just
Mhm.
looking completely normal. But yeah, since there's no season 2, again, I'm
Right.
very upset about this. What
Super sad.
predictions would you have had going into
I
season
think
2?
I think they would have found a way to like recommit Dr. Stern and then like
Yeah.
commit everyone else that was like involved in working with them, and they could have easily made a flip of like, because they were working along with Dr. Stern, they would have found ways, especially because they just have
Mhm.
children at their disposable at the home, the harvest, whatever it is, they can just plop and pull out. They could give them something crazy and just blame Mike Stern and then say that these people were working with him, whatever the case may be. Um, but I also think that that Dr. Christie and the lady that posed as Homeland Security, Catherine Milner, maybe would
Mhm.
have had a face off quietly. Like I think she would have maybe killed his son,
Oh,
that
yeah.
like was his henchman kind of thing,
Mhm.
and maybe that would have given Dr. Christie some emotion, because I feel like he was similar. Like he kept trying to like act like Arby was the person with no emotion. Like this one
Right.
may get you this time, Arby, but like really no, he was the one who had no emotion, no ties to anything. And like I
Mhm.
thought it was crazy when he had convinced the woman basically like, oh, keep an eye on my son. Like that's why I need you, just for him to go and shoot her and her like practically newborn son or
Yeah.
daughter. That was just crazy to me. So
Yeah.
I think we would have maybe seen a little bit of emotion from Dr. Christie had we got rid of his
Mhm.
number one son, his henchman.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Mhm.
but I don't know. But I think it would have, maybe we would have seen more. But the thing is like Arby, I thought did get some emotion, but boy, did he
Oh,
fool me.
definitely. Yeah.
He fooled me when he brought Jessica Hyde home.
Because
Like
he
I
wanted to.
thought,
Remember, she asked him to.
yes, but then Arby was over there just watching and clearly should know that like something bad was happening up there. Like you don't
Mhm.
think Arby knew? I think Arby knew.
I guess if he asked her, like, I mean, if she asked to do it, like,
Because I thought Arby towards the end to me was gonna become one of the good guys, but like then it was like
definitely.
all you did was just bring Jessica Hyde to Catherine Milner, who's no better. Homeland is no
Mhm.
better. She was working with Christie. Now they're kind of
Mhm.
just working behind each other's backs, but they are seeming to do the same thing because once again, not Dr. Milner, Catherine Milner basically was gonna, I don't know, harvest Jessica's organs. I don't know what, but her back was like a map
Yeah,
to
that was
something. So it's
crazy.
like, and then you have her dad locked up downstairs. Like you're not good either. So now I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, Arby, you're not good either. All
Yeah.
right, didn't know that.
I think Arby, I felt like he was so heartless until I think it first started to hit him when he shot that little boy eating the raisins. I think he saw himself in that little boy.
Mm-hmm.
When, because that's when the first time we actually see him kind of crack, like feel any type of way. And then after he
Yeah.
saw that comic that said that he was like Jessica basically was his sister, and then he's like, well,
Mm-hmm.
shoot, then that's the person I need to be, I guess, protecting, because he definitely all them people outside he killed while they were in there. Yeah,
Yeah, he was
yeah.
on it. Arby won't play no games. I thought the
Hmm.
twins was gonna have his ass, but they didn't.
Right. That's so, so too.
I'm like, oh, here Arby's gone.
You know what's crazy? So this is completely random, but
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Milner, I mean Catherine Milner, she was in The Wire as a recurring character, and so was Charlie from the last show we were in.
Oh wow.
Both of them were in The Wire, recurring characters. So I didn't even realize she was in this. But yeah, she was a detective in The Wire, but that's random.
Yeah, I've never I haven't seen her before. If I did, I didn't realize who she
Hmm.
was. I never
I like her
watched The
as an
Wire, but I
actress.
hear The Wire is so good. But I
I
have
like her
not
as an
seen it.
actress. But I definitely want to believe, as far as my predictions go, that
Hmm.
Wilson Wilson was playing Kevin Christie. I don't know how he would have
Yeah,
done that, but I want to believe that in my heart, because how do you go through this whole thing fighting this man and he gives you one little speech for 10 minutes and now all of a sudden you flipping the script and now are on
yeah,
his side.
yeah.
I want to believe that somehow Jessica Hyde, her dad, and the gang would have teamed up and took Christy
Hmm.
Labs down. Once you mentioned that you think that Catherine Milner and Kevin Christie would have went head to head, that's also a
Hmm.
possibility, because that would have had to happen, especially now that he is not tied up with duct tape.
Yeah, like he's wants control. They both want control.
Right. So that would have been something that happened too.
Mhm.
I felt like they told her dad that she was dead. For some reason, I felt like he was
Yeah,
just
I
down
think
there
yeah,
with
because he
no
seemed
hope.
checked out. Yeah, he just was checked
Right.
out, just drawing.
Yeah. So I think
Yeah,
once he realized that she was alive, he would have had some type of motivation to do something else
yeah,
other
yeah. I
than
agree with
draw.
that.
But I guess we'll never know. I'm so sad.
But me too, because this was really good. So, question, Shawnee. So, I
Mhm.
was also very confused. Are those kids that are at the home wrote like genetically like what are how are they coming to
Because
the
they keep
world?
saying they made them, but then
Yeah.
he said that he basically bought the twin girls that they switched out from
Yeah,
Ukraine.
like yeah, they were saying different countries, but then I was getting confused. I'm like, sorry, these people that are already alive, or like, because then he was like, I made you, like saying to Jessica, like you were mine,
Yeah, like
like
I
your
don't know
dad.
if he.
I wanted them to discuss that.
Yeah, I don't know if they were using like some type of not in vitro. I guess it would be in vitro, or like the people that were under there, like they're
Hmm.
breeding the kids. Like as they
Oh,
get
true.
older,
Like, let's see.
maybe they're just kind of like born like on like a cult essentially, born on the farm.
Yeah.
They stay on the farm. But yeah, that was really weird. I feel like it's so much room for them to keep going with this. And I kept checking the time. I'm like, oh, it's 8 minutes left. They got a lot to wrap up in 8 minutes. And lo
No,
and
me
behold,
too.
lo and
I was like,
behold,
somebody was, oh yeah, I think it's a limited series. I was like, oh, so they're gonna get to the end of it at this last
yeah,
episode, and then I realized when it went off, and then it was showing me the next show that was gonna play, and it wasn't season two. I was like, oh yeah,
yeah,
so this is it.
yeah.
And then I was
Very upset with
googling, and
that.
I'm like, dang, not there won't be a
Hmm.
season two.
They ain't want to scare the
BET,
people.
BET
Right.
Plus, go ahead and pick that up. Tubi, Tubi, go ahead and pick that up.
No, but speaking of that, I saw this reel that said this guy tried to sell his show to BET Plus and they picked it up, but then they're reading the script and was like, this is too complex. We make TV for single mothers who are cooking that can kind of watch and listen, but don't have to really think.
Oh
That's
wow,
what this man
BET
says.
said that.
This is what I saw on the
Oh, the
reel
guy
again.
that said that sold it was like, yeah, they told me no. And okay, I see what you're
Yeah, because
saying.
they basically bought like they were going to go ahead with his show, but their reading was like,
Yeah.
"Nah, you need to dumb this down. You need to make this a lot more simple." But I can see it. I can definitely see
Yeah,
it.
yeah, I can see that too.
Yeah, the most I feel like complex show I've seen on BET Plus was probably Diera.
Yes, and that's
Yeah.
my favorite off of that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes,
then
it
like
definitely
Tubi
is.
Cinnamon's my favorite. So Tubi,
Mm-hmm.
you can pick it up. You have nothing to lose, Tubi. Please
Right.
pick it up.
Nothing to lose. Oh God.
Y'all
All
pick
right.
anything on that app.
Right.
Please pick that.
Anything. Anything.
Anything. Anything.
Okay, but on to our next pick, we have the Iron Claw.
So the Iron Claw tells the story of the Von Eric. How you say it? Eric?
I think it was
Von
Eric. Yeah, Von Eric.
Von Erich, Von Erich brothers as they make history in the highly competitive world of professional wrestling in the early 1980s. Through
Mm-hmm.
tragedy and triumph, the brothers seek a larger than life immortality on the biggest stage in sports. This had a high rating across the board. Rotten Tomatoes gave it an 89% and IMDb gave it a 7.6.
Mm-hmm.
To me, this wasn't nearly as good as I wanted it to be. Like when I read the description, saw the people in it, I was like, oh, I was really excited for this. But I do love how, like, at the end, we were able to see the real family. And it seemed like the oldest by default, Kevin, was able to
Mm-hmm.
have some resolve, which
Mm-hmm.
I love when a character is able to get resolve. I feel
Right.
like in the movie and in real life. So I love that.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel about it?
This movie was very tragic.
It was
And the fact that it was based off of a true story makes it even more sad. The Von Erich family literally lost 4 out of 5 of their sons, which is unheard of.
crazy.
But I think the biggest theme of this movie was toxic masculinity. Out
Mhm.
of those 4 that died, I cannot say that today. Toxic masculinity claimed the lives of 3 of them. I loved in the end when Zac Efron's character Kevin has that loving scene with his boys, and Kevin is crying, and he basically says to his boys, "I'm sorry, you guys have to see me crying. Men don't cry." And then one of his sons responds and says, "It's okay, Dad. You can cry. We cry all the time." And I think it was the first time in the film where we saw any like generational curse being broken. And he kept
Correct.
saying like his family was cursed. His family was cursed. in which, I mean, he did lose a good portion of his family, but their biggest curse was that toxic masculinity.
Hmm. Yeah, that scene was very heartwarming. I was really disappointed in the parenting dynamic in this
Oh
film.
my gosh.
The brothers literally had no one on their side.
Nothing.
Usually, I feel like in a two-parent household, the parents are able to kind of have a checks and balance relationship system where,
Mhm.
like even growing up, like I know if my dad was too hard on us, my mom would be like, "You need to ease up,"
Chill
like
out, yeah.
And the mom gave nothing, and even
Nothing.
when her son Kevin's coming to her like, "Hey, mom, can you have dad kind of chill on Mike a little bit?" She's like, "They'll work it out." Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing I can do. And I'm just like, girl, what? You're their mom. There's plenty that you can do. And it's
Mhm.
like, even when I thought that she was semi having someone's back, she always, in the next
Yeah.
sentence, turned.
Flipped, yeah.
So she left them out high to dry, left them out to dry each and every time.
Mhm. Yeah, both the mom and dad were trash. Like, that's all I can say. They're just trash.
Very much
I was
so.
really confused with the mom because she seemed to be a passion killer for everyone, even her own self. Like,
Hmm.
at the beginning, I felt like she really wasn't on board with her husband's wrestling. And then, like, she bragged about her husband being musically inclined to their son Mike, but then when he wanted to
Hmm.
pursue his music dreams, she's like, no. And even when his brothers, well, her reasoning was, you're not going to a college campus to perform. And his grown brothers were like, well, we'll take him. And she's like, no. So they end up having to sneak
Yeah.
out, of course. And then even she gave up a painting for herself. And one of her sons, I think it might have been Kevin, was like, why did you do that? Or why didn't you tell us? And she was like, I don't know. I must have had my reasons. But she
Yeah.
literally was just a passion killer. And then, like
She
the
was.
dad, she, of course, like you said, Kevin had reached out to both of his parents in regard to two of his brothers because
Yep.
he said something to his mom about Mike. She disregarded it, like you
Hmm.
said. And then he called the dad about Carrie,
Hmm.
portrayed by Jeremy Allen White, and said, basically, I was on the phone with Carrie. He's in a bad space. Can you look out for him? Because he's living under your roof. Like, he's literally down the hall. Just look out for my brother.
Yeah.
And that is like, y'all need to work it out. Again, saying the same
Yeah.
thing that his wife
What?
said.
Ain't nothing to work out. It ain't
Yeah,
between me and my brother. What?
right. It's between him and his mind, and he needs
Right.
help. So yeah, and then he ended up killing himself. Which
Yeah.
this is crazy. I shouldn't say this, but seeing Jeremy Allen White plays a character that committed suicide and it's not Carmi, like I feel like Carmi is under so much stress in The Bear. Like I'd be waiting on Carmi to snap any day.
No,
But
literally.
this was the character that I see him play.
Snap.
And yeah, and snap. And also I didn't like the weight on him. I felt like he looked too stocky in this movie.
Really? Yeah, he's not
Yeah.
tall enough. Yeah, he's not tall enough for it to. I
Yeah.
could see that. I could see that. Because sometimes when he was
Hmm.
walking, I'm like, why are you walking like that?
Yeah, just like a little short.
Yeah.
Yeah. But did you realize he had literally
And
lost a foot? Oh, go ahead.
no, I did. I was gonna say, and Zac Efron's body was too much.
Yeah.
I wonder
Mhm.
like how he was training to get his body like
Yeah.
that. Like it was, and he was doing like steroids.
Mhm.
Did you notice that? It was just
Mhm.
crazy. I don't know.
Mhm.
It was just crazy. But yeah, go ahead. What were you saying?
Oh, well, before I say that, but I'm thinking of like the timeline because this what came out in 2023. So that means Jeremy Allen White had to gain all of that weight to
Mm,
film this and then lose it
lose it for the
to come
bear.
back to the bear. That's crazy. But
It
men can do
is.
that. They can just
They
change their
can. They
weight.
like cut and eat. Yeah, they can bulk
Yeah.
up. Cut. Yeah, they can. That's very
Mhm.
true.
But yeah, his character in the movie Carrie lost a foot in that motorcycle accident, and I didn't realize that. I thought he just had broken his leg or something, and
Me
that he
too, because
just
he had
wasn't allowing it.
crutches.
Right, but when I googled it, it said that he actually lost his foot, which makes sense. Like he was like, "I'm deformed," and his brother was like, "They can't
Yes.
tell. Yeah, they can't tell that in the ring." But yeah,
Yeah.
because
See, and I
literally,
didn't. I didn't. That went whoo, over it,
yeah,
over
it didn't
my
really
head.
show. Like it just showed him. Of course, we could tell he got in an accident, and then we saw him on crutches. So I'm just thinking it's a broken bone.
Right. Yeah, I completely missed that. But I knew
Mhm.
Carrie was gonna die, though. That I did know. Like,
Yeah,
I
he
just
was too
didn't know.
much.
I didn't know how or when. And there
Mhm.
were a few times I thought we lost Carrie's ass.
Mhm.
But then lo and behold, a minute or two later, Carrie's on my screen. I'm like,
Yes.
up, Carrie gone. We just waiting to walk in on him dead. Nope, there he is at the table. Up, Carrie gone. He dead. Oh, nope, he's backstage at the fight. Like, there was just a lot of times where I thought that he was gonna be dead. But the thing about what you're saying is that I think this what made the movie hard for me to like really love it is because I feel like it was a bunch of different scenes shot and then just thrown together. Like the transition
Mm.
didn't really work for me. Like there wasn't really a build up. A lot of times it was just it was just odd. And like, I never really understood why the dad like shit on Kevin so much. Like, I never got it. Like, this man wanted, if the wife wanted to wrestle, he would have had the wife wrestle before Kevin. Like,
Right.
he
Literally.
just was not messing with Kevin, and I didn't understand. And I didn't know if maybe he was just holding against him that first fight. Like, basically, like, after that fight happened, it was like, yeah, I'm never giving you a second chance again. Like, you blew it all, and I'm never gonna let you go again. So I just thought that was interesting. And then Ric Flair, like, that dynamic with the fighting and all that was something else.
But you know what? What I just thought of when you said that, I think that's what happens when they do these films based on like real people. Like you can't really give a resolve or like, you know, a complete versus if I wrote a character, I can kind of give you tidbits as to how and why they're acting this way. Well, it's like, we don't know why this man was acting crazy when he was alive. You know, like it's just what it is. And yeah, I don't know. Because I almost felt like he was a little jealous, maybe. I don't know. Like, not necessarily jealous because he really wanted to push his boys, but he really hated the fact that he didn't go with his wrestling career.
Yes, and he looked at his sons as disposable. Like the minute you couldn't wrestle or do something, he didn't care about your ass. Like,
yeah, like when he
you're not a son of mine.
When Kevin got slammed on that concrete, literally on his back, and he's like, "You didn't get up quick enough." And Kevin was like, "I literally could not move that." Like,
right. Yeah, that was crazy to me. Like, he didn't even look at his son. They were objects to him. Like, they were just straight objects. And like, each of them were like pushing themselves so much to make that monster happy. Like, here you have, what was the first brother's name that died from the intestinal bleeding when he was throwing up David. Like, that was crazy to me. Like, his brother was like, that doesn't look normal. Like, you're saying you drank too much, but that's looking like something completely
because it was blood, right? He was throwing up blood,
right?
Yeah, no, he should have known better. But I think, or the one scene I really did like is when they won that first like 3 tag team thing, and the camera is like showing the dad talking in the front. But I like how the camera angle is because every time he said something that the boys did not know or agree with, they start looking at each other like, and I want you to know that the next heavyweight champion will be my son, David. And then they're looking at each other. Then Kevin, then Kerry, then Mike. And Mike is like, what? I don't even wrestle.
Mike said, I just want to play music.
Right.
So I was shocked that Mike caved, though. I didn't see that coming. So that I did not expect.
I did not at all.
I don't know if he felt like he had to do it for his brother. Like, you went through all that. Like, I got to pick up the reins. But I even found that crazy. Like, you really about to throw Mike in the ring over Kevin? Like, that to me, like, this man was like, Kevin is done. Like, Kevin was dead to him.
Mike had no muscle tone. Like, everybody else, you could tell they've been in the gym since they were little boys. And Mike looked like he picked up that guitar and that's all he did. And so I'm like, you want him to wrestle? You just, at this point, like you said, if the mom went to wrestle, he would throw her in that ring because he just did not care.
In there. He didn't care.
He did not
care.
He
did not care. All right, moving on to our second one. Or was there anything else you wanted to say about Iron Claw?
No, that's it. I mean, if y'all want to watch it, y'all can. It's got Zac Efron in it. I like him. I love him as an actor. So he did good. But it is a tragic movie because I can all those deaths. No,
it was sad. But I didn't cry. Did you cry?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't cry. It didn't hit my heartstrings, but it was sad though.
Yeah, it got like towards the end. I'm like, oh, but I didn't cry.
Yeah.
So, all right. So our next one is Unfrosted. In 1963, Kellogg's and Post's sworn cereal rivals raced to create a pastry that will change the face of breakfast forever. It is loosely based, another movie that is based on a true story, on the creation of Pop-Tarts. This film stars Jerry Seinfeld, Melissa McCarthy, Amy Schumer, Hugh Grant, and Jim Gaffigan. It has an Emmy nomination for the best film written for television, but Rotten Tomatoes only gave it a score of 42%, and I could not watch this movie without eating a bowl of cereal.
That's so funny. I did not eat cereal at all while watching this, nor did I pull a bowl that week or anything. No, but I really did like this movie. You paused it and went to go pour yourself a bowl?
I paused that movie and went
What kind of milk do you do? Are you almond, whole, 2%?
Vanilla almond only.
Oh, I do unsweetened almond because I think the vanilla is too sweet. So I do unsweetened.
See, I like the vanilla.
Okay. Yeah. I thought it was really cute, and I thought it was cute how in order to brainstorm, they're like, okay, let's go settle this. Let's go get a bowl of cereal from the break room.
Right.
And like how the break room was and they were pushing in. I'm like, oh, that's like I didn't even think about that. Like, but if you work at Kellogg and you just at your disposal have Pop Tarts, Fruit Loops, like whatever you
Right.
want at your
Right.
disposal and for however much you want. Like, I thought that
Mhm.
was cool. And it was very unique. It made me think of a lot of things that were portrayed in the film. Like, why is that not a real thing in the real world? Like, why isn't there like a competition for cranberry juices and cereals and like people taking
Mhm.
home the award? I think it would make
Mhm.
companies more innovative if they like,
Yeah.
because you see them win awards, but it's not like an award ceremony. And I thought
Yeah,
that
like
was
the
funny. Like,
Oscars or the Emmys or something like
yeah.
that.
And
Yeah.
there's so much material, like best cereal, best tagline, best cereal mascot. Like when they were
Mhm.
showing that they're great, like that is
Yes.
iconic. That cereal line is iconic. And I'm not even a
Mhm.
Frosted Flake girly, but I know
Mhm.
that they're like everybody knows Tony the Tiger. Everybody.
Mhm.
And like even them doing like the discontinued stuff and like doing like an RIP to like the
Yes,
stuff that
that
didn't
was
make it, they
cute.
were off
Yeah.
the shelves. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that made me think of the Wendy's Frescata, which you probably don't even know what that is. But it was this turkey sandwich that Wendy's had. And when I tell you it was better than Subway, Jersey Mike's, Hot
Really?
Belly, you name it, that had me in a choke hold. It
Really?
was so, so, so good.
Mhm.
And since we were talking about cereal, what is your
Mhm.
favorite cereal?
Oh, I love me a good old bowl of Frosted Flakes with vanilla almond milk. And Captain Crunches too, like all of
I
them.
love Captain. Captain is
All of
good.
them.
Frosted Flakes, I don't really. I've never bought a
Mhm.
box of Frosted Flakes.
Oh, really? Yeah, we keep a box. Captain Crunch, I think they're General Mills though. So that General Mills must have came up
Ooh,
after, yeah, Post and
okay.
Kellogg's, yeah. But what's your favorite?
So my favorite would have to either be Cinnamon Toast Crunch or
Mhm.
Fruit Loops for sure. Those are my
Mm.
two faves. I like Captain Crunch with the berries though.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, the berries. Avery, she'll tear up a box like Captain Crunch, and I'm not even talking about a bowl. Like if I let her, it will
she'll
be the
keep
whole
pouring it.
box. Yeah, she'll keep pouring it. It drives me insane. Like you're just such a little girl eating this whole box. But before this movie, had you heard of Country Squares, like Post version of Pop Tarts? I hadn't either. Like I had no idea
No,
that it existed. But when I looked it up, it didn't do too well, so they scrapped it like early. So I
it
guess
makes
that's why.
sense.
We wouldn't have we wouldn't have known. But yeah, overall this movie was really cute.
It
Like just
was.
how they set it up. The cast, of course, was good. Anything else you want to say about Unfrosted?
No, I liked it. It was good. Like that was another one where I actually when it was coming out saw that it was coming out and but then after I read the description, I'm like, I'm not watching no Battle of the Breakfast. Like what?
Mm-hmm.
But when you picked it, I was like, oh, this is actually really good. Like this was
Yes,
good.
it's cute.
I would
Yes.
even I would say the worst thing we watched this week was Iron Claw. My pick for me.
But,
Like I liked it, but it wasn't great. Like I'm never gonna watch
yeah.
it again.
I don't I don't know if I'd say I don't want to say worse because I feel like none of this was bad. Because I feel like
Yeah,
we've
none of
had
it was
some
bad.
weeks.
But out of
Yeah.
this week, oh yeah, there was one
Yeah.
week where like I think everything we watched was just not good.
Yeah.
But out of this week's picks, Iron Claw's last place for me.
Yeah. Maybe Iron Claw is there for me too. Yeah, definitely. But Utopia they just blew everybody else out the water. But yeah, I think if I had
Yeah,
to
they did.
pick
Utopia was so good.
Unfrosted a little bit higher than Iron Claw. Because that was like I feel like it was two different vibes. Like
Yeah, it
Unfrosted
was.
was cute and bright and
Yeah,
Iron Claw is just like, damn,
real sad.
he died, funeral, mean dad, mean
Yeah,
mom, funeral. Like
yeah.
but again, I'm glad it had a happy ending. Both at
Yes.
least these two had endings. Utopia didn't
Yes.
even have an ending.
Right. Now I gotta toss and turn at night because Utopia is never gonna finish. That's actually
Right.
really sad.
Right. Well, hopefully next week will be a good week. We are
Yes.
watching A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, which is currently number one on Netflix. So hopefully it lives up
It
to the
just
hype.
moved down to number 2, but it's still up
Yeah,
there.
it's still up there. Okay, because you know what was it? Was it Hitman? That was number one, and I wasn't sure why that was number one for so long. So hopefully this is not the same with A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. We have Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which was recommended by Paris. I watched this a few years ago. It's one that they teach in like film classes. So I'm excited to watch it again. And then Instigators, which is on Apple TV. So
I think the only reason why it's number 2 is because Umbrella Academy just dropped. So everyone's yeah, it's number 1. I just went to look 'cause I'm like, wait, when I went to go look at it today, it was it's because Umbrella Academy just dropped.
Oh, yep. And
So
I'm gonna be
everyone's
watching
watching
both.
that. There you
Yes.
go.
I love
All
that
right,
show.
guys. As usual, thank you so much for watching. And until
Yes.
next time, have a great week. Bye.
Bye.